Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Hack Hunter coming at ya. In this episode, we went hunting for hacks way out in Washington State. And I gotta say, it definitely didn't disappoint. I found everything from home kitchen tattooers, even to companies that only do hand-poke tattoos. It was a little weird up there. A little weird. Sit back, relax, let's find them hacks. Alright, here we go. Our lead today came from a guy named Troy out of Olympia, Washington. He wrote, "Hey Hack Hunter, I just moved out here to Washington and I don't know any artists here at all. There's a ton of studios around here though, and I'm trying to find an artist that does a lot of dark imagery type of art. I want to get an entire sleeve done in black and gray, but I want it to be completely custom. I don't necessarily want evil stuff, just that macabre style of art." Okay, I got you, Troy. He also said, "By the way, while I was looking at tattoo shops, I've seen a ton of sketchy tattoo artists out here, so I'm sure you're going to find some bad ones too. Good luck and thanks." Well, Troy, you're right about that. There are some real sketchy artists out there, but there are also some super talented ones. So, I know the style of art you're talking about, and we were able to find someone that I think is perfect for this sleeve. But before I get to that, we found an artist up there that I think is also worth shining some light on. So, let's break it down. Alright guys, this here is David Herman, aka Daz. He is the owner and working at Ambrosia Tattoo Gallery there in Olympia, Washington. And first off, this is a horribly old website. Daz, you gotta upgrade this shit, man. This is from the 90s, brother. You gotta upgrade this. It's really difficult to view it on a phone. But if you want to give it a try, tatguy.com, go ahead and check him out. He looks like a super nice guy, and so I really have a hard time with this review. He does all sorts of artwork, and I can tell he's a true artist at heart. He does a lot of digital artwork. He even has a YouTube page. I'll link it in the comments below, where he talks about how to do different digital imagery and stuff like this. And so I know he's an artist at heart. He's a pure artist, I would say, but this show, we're here for the artwork, and unfortunately, it's a little rough. Well, starting with the portraits, which I can say 100%, this is not his forte. Oh, goodness, look at this. Way too many lines and not enough shading. There should be a dark shadow behind this. If you're ever going to leave this much negative space in a portrait, you need to put a dark shadow behind it to accentuate it. But, also, there's a little bit of a dent in the guy's head here that I don't believe was in the picture. Just a little dent there with an outline. Small detail, but important detail when you're doing a memorial piece, you know? Very, very important. And I don't think he should be taking on these memorial pieces. These ones mean so much to people who have lost somebody, or they're memorializing them for any reason. I mean, you want to make sure it is on point and perfect. And you can see he did the one thing that I harp about a lot. He put white in the whites of the eyes. No, not supposed to do that, especially with somebody whose skin tone is going to change in the summertime. They're going to get tan, they're going to get darker, and this white is going to turn into a tan or an off-brown color. It's not going to stay white, and especially to fill the teeth in so solidly like this. Oh, this is not going to heal good. He also looks like he tried to do a lot of white in the collar there and in the shirt. Just, it's not going to look good, and oh, geez, I even see it right here on the cheeks. He tried to fill in some white. It's hard to tell because it's all red, which is normal. White often bleeds and turns red right away, but let me show you the zoomed out view of this one, because there's also another error, if you can spot it. The face is looking backwards. It should be facing the other direction. It doesn't matter what the picture is that you're copying. Portraits or any tattoo should always face forward or inward. And in this case, it's facing backward. So that's something you guys as clients always watch out for that. If an artist puts a tattoo on you and it's facing backwards or looking backwards, trust me, you don't want that. And it's possibly just my OCD that it triggers, but trust me, it's wrong. It's the wrong way to do tattoos. Here's another one he did of a baby, and right off the bat, you might notice a major error in the mouth here. This baby is too young to have teeth, but in this photo, it looks like he's got a full set of teeth, again with the white. Das, please, man, please, promise me you're not going to do any more of these portraits. This is just definitely not your forte. I hate to be so harsh, but that's what the show is about. We try to let people know what they're going to get if they pick a certain artist, and this is something that I would warn people about. This is not, I mean, these clients are going to be happy when they first see it and it looks similar to their photo, but when they start comparing to other portraits that they can see online or to portrait realism artists that do this for a living, they're going to be disappointed, especially when it's your child or your loved one that's passed away. I can't emphasize it enough, but definitely not Daz's forte. Moving on, though, I wanted to show this piece. He actually ended up coloring this piece, but he posted both the outline, the gray version, and the color version. The reason I want to show it is because he did the common mistake that I also talk about a lot. He did all this shading in here, and obviously it's a cover-up. You can see some initials down in here that he was covering up. But he did all this shading and light kind of lining. He didn't do any black outline. And the reason that's wrong, let me show you what it looks like in the end. That's the colored version of it. Very, very hard to tell what's going on. Very hard to tell. I mean, you can see the dragonflies, but they blend in so much with the greenery in the background. And this green in the background, you blended so many different, like, reds, greens, yellows in there. And I can appreciate it. It's his style of art. It's what he likes to do and how he likes to do things. But unfortunately, it just does not lend to tattooing well. It just does not translate over that well. This just ends up looking really jumbled and blurry. And I would hate to see how this healed, because I can tell the colors are not bright enough to be fully saturated, or maybe there's a little bit too much damage to the skin, so those colors are not vibrant like they should be. So I can tell that after this heals, you're going to get a lot more of a sort of watered down, bleed through look to it, and that's unfortunate. I did find one of his that I thought lended pretty well to his style of artwork. You know, he liked to blend a lot of these colors in close proximity. He used simple line technique in here, nothing too fancy, nothing crazy. He probably could have done it a little bit better if he used multiple line weights, maybe something bold on the outer edge and then something thin for these whiskers and these tight little hairs. But ultimately, this does not look bad. This was one of his best pieces that I found, and this is probably the only example of where his style of art lends well to tattooing. But unfortunately, there's a lot of technique flaws as well. And here's a great example of those technique flaws. Why is the shading so simple on this? This is a scroll, obviously. The kid wanted a scroll with some lettering on it, and I don't know why there's so much negative space in here. It leads me to believe that he has trouble blending soft grays. And blending soft grays is difficult. It's difficult for any artist until you perfect it, until you work with somebody else that teaches you how to do it well. But I'm seeing a lot of these just partial lines like he did before in the other piece. Not really harsh black ones, but maybe just like he was using his gray wash to line with. Instead of creating a nice crisp, bold outline, it just kind of looks a little bit jagged, and then the shading in there just looks scratchy. These weird triangles of shades. I know what it was meant to look like, but it's just not, it's not coming through at all. And here's another example of just a jumbled piece by him. I saw a lot of this where he does a lot of this tight, small, detailed stuff, but even from like 2 feet away, it's not readable. And I think that tattoos are not meant to be like this. I think in some cases, you know, artists give in to the client. When a client wants a lot of things jumbled closely together, or they want to put a lot of different details or aspects into a tattoo, and so you try to appease them, but that's on you, Daz. You got to convince them to do bigger, cleaner detail, and you got to rework your artwork to make it more tattoo friendly, because it just does not come through well. Here's another one where it's just, I know that this is an eye in here, but it just is not crisp or clean. It's really hard to tell what's going on. And I know from looking at his portfolio online, he does a lot of digital artwork, he does a lot of it on the computer, and he does a lot of sort of abstract and surrealistic stuff, and it's exactly like this. But when it comes to a tattoo in black and gray, it just looks a lot of kind of blurry, unreadable lines, and it's hard to tell what's meant to be going on there. So yeah, here's another one. Really strange looking face. I know this is supposed to be the Archangel Michael, I believe, attacking a demon here. And for the size of this thing, you know, the face is only about the size of a thumb. And when you do that, you really got to be careful about where you use lines. You use too many lines on a tight face, and this is what you get. A really kind of cartoon, silly looking one. I saw a lot of his photos. Here's another one. I could complain about the Jesus, but really I want to complain about the quality of the photo that he took. A lot of them have these glares right through them, and it's like the skin is this almost bright orange look to it, and the glare is so bright white. And so what this tells me is that he's struggling with his photography. Either that, or he's editing them afterwards and trying to enhance them, and it's just looking very unnatural. So yeah, got a lot of these photos that came out like this, and it makes it hard to judge what's really going on when it's such enhanced or extreme colors or extreme glare like that. But I could say also, though, that this Jesus, definitely a little bit wonky. He did the same thing that he did on his other portraits. Way too many lines and way too little shading. And so ultimately, Daz, I would say please get together with a professional artist. It's not too late in a career to take an apprenticeship or work together to improve these techniques. But I gotta say, you gotta work on your gray shading. Maybe work with some larger mags, order some pre-mixed gray wash so that you already have your dilutions in front of you, so that you know exactly what tones you're laying down. Use larger mags, larger needle sets, so that you can create those large swaths of dark to light gradation. But ultimately, for now, you gotta stop doing the portrait work. You gotta stop doing the gray work like that. It's just not coming out good. But I digress. Moving on. Troy, stick around. Let me show you what we found for you. Alright, Troy, this is the guy I wanted to show you. His name is Cody Brigg, and he is working not too far away. It's a little bit south of Olympia. It's in a town called Tumwater, Washington, but it's really, really not that far away. And he's the owner of Dark Letter Tattoo. You can find them at darkletter.tattoo. Oh, that's kind of clever. The .tattoo instead of .com. Man, I wish I would have thought of that. But darkletter.tattoo, go check him out. Also, he's got his personal Instagram, which, to be honest, doesn't have a ton on there. Not as much of his artwork as on their studio's Instagram, but you can go check him out at Instagram/Cody Brigg. But definitely check it out. It's got a lot of his own personal drawings and sketches as well as tattoos, so I think it's worth checking out. And right off the bat, I'll show you some of his no-line technique. I don't know the exact style that Troy was wanting from us, but I'll tell you, Cody does a lot of, he's got some versatility when it comes to this sort of dark artwork. And this is a no-line technique one, and he did a beautiful job of it. Yeah, you see a lot of really, really smooth shading. This negative skin tone here, or the skin break here, is very intentional, and it works well because he has this dark background on it, and he's able to saturate these blacks. So when he uses a skin break like this, unlike the last artist we just checked out, Dawes, when he uses a skin break like this in this negative space, it's intentional, and it's very intelligent at the same time. He does a lot of neat little tiny white work. I personally wish they were a little bit bolder, but it's also because he edited the photo to take out some of the saturation, so that's why this photo doesn't, it looks like it has a lot less color to it, and that's something that a lot of artists are doing nowadays, and it's just simply because tattoos are kind of red and the skin's a little welted after you tattoo, so if you take away the saturation, then you don't see the redness and the tattoo shines through. But I can say that even though he has edited these photos, I can tell that his black work heals really nice and dark black. That's something that I've seen a lot of. I can tell right off the bat if an artist has beat up the skin too much, they went too deep, or if they're using a really cheap, watery Chinese black, or whatever it may be. He's doing a great job of saturating this black. It's not traumatizing the skin, and it's going to heal that way. Here is a piece that really made me want to recommend him to you, Troy. This is dark art at its finest, I think. Man, beautiful light shading. He does those light gradations of gray really well. That was something that Dawes was lacking in. He could definitely learn a thing or two from Cody here. Also, the rich black background. Very, very important to get your blacks that black when you want to use really light, soft gray detail in there, and he does an incredibly good job of it. I was very, very impressed with that piece. But this right here is sort of the antithesis of most of his artwork, is this style right here. He uses a lot of this dot work, a lot of this pointillism kind of stuff, but at the same time, he knows how to do traditional shading as well, and I love to see that. Some artists only know how to do one or the other, or if they're not good at gray shading, they might use dot work as sort of a crutch, but he's good at both, and I think that's really important to have that versatility, and he does it really well. I just love this alien piece, even though it's such a simple little piece. I think it's brilliant how he did it. He switched up the consistency of the dots up here compared to the mountains, and you get this nice differentiation between how the sky and the mountain look, and I think that's just a little thing, but it goes a long way. Let's see here. This right here is from a Ouija board. Some of you might recognize it, and it's called a planchette. A word that I did not know until today, but it shows how smooth his lines are. Look at how nice and clean each one of these is. I mean, you could really pick it apart and maybe find line errors in there, but man, look how smooth this circle is. Just perfect precision. I think he's definitely a well-trained artist, and he's got a real steady hand, a real clean line work to him. And you can tell he puts a lot of effort into this detail, and he does it really, really well. I was very, very impressed. I would like to see a sleeve compiled by him. I didn't see a lot of sleeve work. I did see a lot of pieces like this where they're bigger, larger areas covered, but as for full sleeve compilations, I don't know, but I could definitely tell you he's certainly capable of it. Most of his work, or pretty all of his work, was custom, and you can tell, especially on their website, you'd see a lot of his stuff for sale. You can tell he loves custom designing this particular style of artwork, this sort of dark imagery like you were talking about. Here's a little birdie. Very cute. I love the size of this piece. This was just great, and I love how abstract the pine cone is and the back of the bird's feathers. I think that's such a cool, unique way of doing a tattoo. I know how time-consuming this style must have been, but man, it's well worth it when you see that end result like that. Here's a nice wolf that was a mixture of the traditional gray shading as well as the pointillism. I love that he did all that in here. You can see these little dots of white throughout, and that's just such a neat accent to it. Again, I kind of wish that he would use a little bit more saturation of white so that these little specks would stand out better. I'd like to see how they heal fully, but ultimately it's a pretty small gripe when you're looking at such a beautiful piece like this. Just, yeah, great detail in there. I love it. Here's another nice floral piece, another large one I thought you'd want to see. Just to show you that he knows what he's doing when it comes to the larger pieces. He puts the same amount of time, effort, and detail in. Look at this piece. Oh my god, these perfectly straight lines. Look how smooth those are. Unbelievably talented, very, very smooth, steady hand. Just very impressive to me. I think he did a great job on this one too. yeah, he's just got his style down packed, and he definitely sticks with it. He knows what he's good at, and he sticks with it. At the same time, like I said, he's pretty versatile when it comes to the style. He can do it in multiple different ways, but he's definitely really, really proficient at either way. I had to show a little bit of color from him. It's a little Pokemon, just for you to see. He blends them really well. I love the use of opaque gray blending into white here, too. A lot of artists like to avoid opaque gray or even using white in such a large swaths, but he did such a great job here. This blend from a darker orange up is really impressive, really smooth looking. So, Cody Brigg, without a doubt, Hack Hunter approved. You're doing it really well, man. You're making the industry look good. Please keep doing what you're doing. I see you got the new studio. It's about a year or so old now. Good luck with it. I hope it all works out. And Troy, definitely hit this guy up. I have the utmost confidence he would just knock it out of the park when it comes to a custom dark imagery sleeve. So, good luck. Alright, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching the show. Make sure you subscribe because we put out new episodes every week. Also, hit the bell button so you get notified every time we post a new episode. So when we come to your city, you'll be sure to catch it. Thanks again. I'll see y'all next week.